Hey everybody, I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today I'm going to talk about how and why Gen X got labeled as the slacker generation. And we weren't called the slacker generation because we were lazy or because we had a shitty work ethic or anything like that. Of course, we all know that a lot of us had jobs, but by the time we were 8, 9 years old, mowing lawns and delivering newspapers, that kind of thing, right? I mean, country folks, they started working sometimes even earlier than that. I was training horses and shit when I was a kid, baling hay and stuff. So we weren't like a lazy generation. We weren't a generation of lazy people. And now, I mean, we're the hardest working people on the planet. So no, it has actually nothing to do with work ethic or laziness, that label slacker. What it deals with is, in the 90s, the late 80s through the early 2000s when we were young adults. And we turned our back on that entire corporate structure, that corporate ladder climbing, ass kissing culture there. We turned our backs on that in the grunge era, the grunge movement. With our fashion, we just wore old shit, used shit, whatever, actually used work boots were in style. We could wear that shit and look cool. Yeah, I have no idea why that went away. That shit should have stuck around. It saved people money and was good for the environment, but the younger generations just weren't having it. So yeah, and I know that some Gen Xers, they climbed the corporate ladder and they excelled in that environment, that culture, and And I understand that. And I understand that some Gen Xers, I mean, we've got quite a few Gen X CEOs now in the country. We got quite a few Gen X politicians now. Finally, I mean, it's taken this long before we started getting, people from our generation into these positions of power. But it's starting to happen now. So it's not like it's every single person in the generation turned their back on this stuff. But as a general rule, we did. I mean, look at bands named Rage Against the Machine and shit like that. And a lot of our songs were about that. And just the rejection of that entire corporate culture, And the thing about it is that, number one, we were labeled as slackers because we just didn't buy into that shit, right? The whole philosophy of kissing ass and climbing the ladder, and that just did not seem like a good way to live life to us. And now I have people commenting to me, more than one, actually, people commenting to me on a pretty regular basis that Gen X is the reason for all this shit we have wrong now. We're the ones who sold America out to the corporate greed. Okay. And to get in there and argue all that shit in the comments is ridiculous. So I figured I would make a video about it. We actually rejected corporate greed. We are the generation we have our roots in secondhand thrift storing, repurposing, repairing, not this replace and throw away culture that we have now. Gen X is holding on to that idea that products should last a long time. Products can be used again. Products can be repurposed for another use. Just to use something once and throw it away. This whole disposable culture is foreign and anti-Gen X. That's not what we're about. So I would argue that Gen X did not sell out to corporate greed, that we tried like hell to rescue our nation and our culture from corporate greed. We outright rejected that shit on its face. We didn't cotton to that shit. It did not, it just rubbed us wrong. Put it that way. We did not like it. We don't like it to this day. That is not Gen X. That's not the Gen X way. We're hardworking, and we believe that a product we buy should last more than 1 or 2 years, right? That is a piece of our lives. That is time taken out of our lives that we took to acquire this money, this currency, to buy a product, okay? And if you think about it, we're literally buying this shit that we buy, all this crap that we buy. We're buying it with pieces of our lives, not with dollars or won or pounds, any of that, with pieces of our lives. That's what we're actually spending, is time out of our lives. So yeah, and Gen X values that. We value that time. We always have. And we're not just starting to value that time because we're getting older. We valued that time when we were 19, 20 years old. And we did not want to spend that time clawing our way to the top of some corporate ladder. That was not fulfilling to a lot of us. It did not entice us in any way. But we found it reprehensible, and we just didn't buy into it. And in that way, we're part of the reason that it's taken a longer time, right? That this whole thing with this corporate takeover and this government abuse and all this shit, that it's taken longer. Because just imagine a world without Gen X, with us not being here. Can you imagine where the world would be now? That it would just, this advancement of corporate bullshit, and with the corporate insurance and the corporate monopolies and all this shit, would be 20, 25 years ahead into the future already, you know? We're the only ones that are forestalling that. The old people are locked into CNN and their lies and their bullshit. The younger people are locked into TikTok with their lies and their bullshit. You know, and it's Gen X that I see. Gen X we get our information all over the place. Some of us get our information partially from podcasts, but not totally, right? Some of us watch podcasts and TikTok and a little bit of Fox News or a little bit of CNN to see what's going on, or maybe we watch some comedy and stuff, because a lot of real shit is coming from comedy. Some of us get a lot of information off of X. You know, I mean, we're broader, and we set a wider search pattern for our information than the other generations, right? And with that, and I think that like TikTok and shit like that, they're locked in as much as, CNN and MSNBC with their messages. CNN, MSNBC, CBS, all those, they're saying the exact same thing, the exact same message at the exact same time, right? And so is TikTok and all that shit. All those TikTok and Instagram and Snapchat or whatever, all that shit, it's the same shit, right? They might have a slightly different way of sending that message, but it's the same message. There's no real divergence there, you know? And that's one thing, that's a key area where I think that Gen X really separates ourselves from the other generations, because we get our information from a wide variety of places. We're not locked into one message, right? Because if I hear something interesting, I'm going to check it out, whether it's on CNN or TikTok. Well, I don't look at TikTok or any of that little kid shit, but I don't care if it's on CNN or BBC or whatever. I'll check it out. I don't even pay attention to what channel the shit's on. Honestly, I just look for interesting shit, and some kind of question that's being asked that I'm curious about, and I'll check it out. And I'm not locked into one thing like YouTube or TikTok or X or anything like that. I'll check out X once in a while, or I'll check out, or even Facebook. I'll scan through Facebook once in a while and look at that dumb shit. And I think that's where we honestly set ourselves apart from the other generations, because that wide variety of information keeps our minds open and keeps us fresh upstairs, keeps us sharp and keeps us asking questions. And I think the other generation should really adopt that. I mean, I'm not saying Gen X is perfect or whatever, but there are some things that we do right. And even the older generations can learn from us. Quit watching that CNN and MSNBC and bullshit all day. Quit watching that. It's lies. Quit watching TikTok for you people of younger generations. Quit watching that bullshit. They're lying, right? Those people getting on those jets and jet setting around to these big parties and shit. They're lying. They don't fly anywhere on those jets. It's a big psyop. It's a big media show. It's a big poser. It's a big wannabe show. They act like they're getting on the jet, and then the video ends and they go back to their house. They don't fly anywhere on that jet. That jet never leaves the tarmac. It's bullshit. And I really believe that Gen X is, as a group, we dig for the truth. We want to know the truth. We don't want to be dazzled with bullshit. We don't want to be lied to constantly. We value the truth. We value reality. And again, even the older generations, what the hell is it with these older generations that they don't value the truth and reality? They'll sit there and just zombie out on that legacy media, and it's just been proven over and over again that they are lying. They are full of shit. Back to the core of the subject here, Gen X has turned its back on all of that corporate bullshit, that legacy media, all of that. And that's why we were labeled as the slacker generation. We just had no motivation to get out there and climb that corporate ladder, We'd rather go out there and log or fish or something real for a living, instead of, go out there and make some billionaire more billions. And I think that's the heart of it. And I don't think that's changed. I think as a rule, as a general rule, Generation X has no interest in helping some huge monopoly take over more of the world and buy up more smaller companies. I don't think Gen X has any interest in helping this government become more corrupt. I don't think Gen X has any interest in helping the media become more false and fraudulent and tell more lies. As a rule, we're not into that shit. And I honestly don't think we ever will be. We're not going to be dazzled with bullshit. We're not all of a sudden going to become these greedy, ass-kissing corporate lackeys, trying to claw our way to the top. It's not going to happen. It didn't happen back in the 90s. We rejected that shit. We raged against the machine, and we're still raging against the machine today. I mean, we rage a little quieter and a little slower now, but we're still raging against that son of a bitch. And that's never going to change. And I'll leave you there with that. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment. And if you'd like to support the channel by becoming a member, I'll leave that link down in the description, or you can head over to the channel page and become a member that way. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can do so by clicking on that super thanks button down there. Or you can head over to Buy Me a Cup of Coffee and buy me a cup of coffee. I appreciate those of you who do that. Thank you very much. I'll put that link down in the description too. If you're interested in Gen X gear, we got some pretty cool stuff over there at Redbubble. Gen X Thinks and Gen X branded stuff. T-shirts, coffee mugs, stickers, all kinds of cool stuff. But I'll leave that link down in the description for any of those of you who are interested. If you can't or don't want to support the channel in any of those ways, you can always do so by sharing these videos on your social media. That helps out one hell of a lot, so thank you very much to those of you who do that. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. If you have any ideas for future episodes of Gen X Thinks, please put those down in the comments. Or you can email us, and the email is genxthinks@gmail.com. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.